We said yesterday that we would go on talking about the question of knowing oneself. We have been discussing the problem of violence, and to understand it fully one has to comprehend the whole structure of the self, the me, what I actually am. Therefore, it seems to me important to go into the question of knowing oneself, because if I do not understand myself completely, I have no basis for rational thinking, I have no foundation for action, I have no roots in what is virtue. Unless I understand myself, I am always in contradiction, in confusion, and hence in conflict and misery. And being in conflict, in sorrow, inevitably that must express itself in some form of violence. So it seems to me very important to understand oneself, not according to any specialist or to any religious concept of what is the me or the self, but actually to become aware of it as it operates, as it functions. But if I try to understand myself according to some philosopher or psychologist, then I am trying to understand them, what they think about me, what they think is my structure, my nature. Most of us are second-hand human beings, and there is nothing original in us, not that we are seeking any originality, but merely to operate in a second-hand way without any original feeling or any original understanding must inevitably lead to conflicts, miseries, and endless anxieties. So I hope you and I, the speaker as well as yourself, see the importance of knowing ourselves. If we both agree that it is vital to understand ourselves completely, then we have a quite different relationship, then we can walk together, then we can both delve into the most secret corners of our minds. But if you are not interested, then I am afraid all communication between the speaker and yourself comes to an end. There are several questions that we've been sent, such as, I would like to live at peace, but to live at peace means I must give up food, clothes and shelter, which means I must die, and if I die, the violent people will create a society. This kind of question is really quite inadmissible, because we have talked enough about the necessity of food, clothes and shelter, and whether it is possible to live in this world of brutality at peace with ourselves. So I won't go into such questions. So if we could this morning devote our whole energy to understand ourselves, and go to the very end of it, not just give up if we don't like it, then perhaps we shall discover for ourselves a state of mind that is not in conflict at all, and therefore can live in this world at peace both outwardly and inwardly. So shall we converse together about this question of understanding ourselves? Where do we begin to understand ourselves? Here I am, and how am I to study myself, observe myself, see what is actually taking place in myself? I can only observe myself in relationship, because all life is relationship. If I reject all relationship and isolate myself, become a hermit, even then I have relationship. I live in relationship, so I can only understand myself in observing my relationship to ideas, to people, to things. Right? What do you say? For the mind to perceive, energy is needed. Does this energy come from silence? But sir, if you don't mind, that's not what we're discussing this morning. What we're trying to find out is how to understand oneself. Here I am, a bundle of contradictions, miseries, conflicts, anxieties, hopes, wishing to have a silent mind. I am a whole bundle of energy in contradiction. I want to understand myself because I see that without understanding myself there is no basis for any action. I can act, but it will always result in greater misery, greater confusion. So I must understand myself. Now where shall I begin? And I see I cannot exist by myself. I exist always in relationship, whether conscious or unconscious. That relationship is with people, with various ideologies, with things, money, houses, furniture, food. In studying my relationship with these things, with outward things as well as inward things, I begin to understand myself. Is this clear? When I observe myself, I see myself in very different states. Is the self a reality or not? We're going to find out. Look, will you do something this morning? Forget all that you know about yourself. Forget all that you have thought about yourself. We're starting to find out. We're going to start as though we knew nothing. Then it is worthwhile. But if you start with all the old furniture that you've collected for the last 30 years, you can't travel very far. So let us begin as though we were on our new journey. It rained last night heavily, and the skies are beginning to clear. It's a new day, a fresh dawn, and you must meet that fresh day as though it were the only day. But if you meet it with all the remembrance of yesterday, you will never meet the freshness of today. So what we are doing now is to start to understand ourselves for the first time, and I see I can only understand myself in relation to people, things and ideas. I cannot understand myself sitting in a corner, meditating about myself, or withdrawing, isolating myself in some monastery. I can only understand myself in relationship, because every other form is merely an abstraction and has no validity at all. If we could start with that, each one of us, then we'll go far. But if we start with abstractions, what should be, how to keep the mind silent, all the things that you have heard this unfortunate speaker say, then you'll be lost. Whereas if this morning we could go step by step into this, you will discover many things for yourself. When I'm aware of what's happening in me, no sir, you've gone too far ahead of me. I said, you can only understand yourself in relationship, right? Yes, but what puzzles me? What do you mean by relationship? We're going to go into it, you see. It's a fresh morning, sir. Fresh. First, let's be clear that I can understand myself only by studying my relationship and my reactions in those relationships. I am related to things, property and material things. What is my reaction towards those things, to money, to clothes, to food, to houses? By studying my reactions, I am beginning to understand myself in relation to those things, right? Are we doing that? You have a relationship to your house, to your property, to property as the family, and that's a very complex question. How you react to your property, to things. Don't brush it aside. This is very important to understand. Suppose I have plenty of money. What is my relationship to that thing called money? By understanding my reaction, I understand myself. My reaction is myself, right? So I'm beginning to see very clearly what my reaction is with regard to money. Whether I hate rich people because I'm poor, or I want to be as rich as the rich man. So I begin to study myself through my reaction to things. I need food, clothes, and shelter. That's absolutely necessary. But what is my reaction to them? Do they give me an inner satisfaction? You understand? An inner security? If so, I attach tremendous importance to property. Therefore, I'm willing to defend my property. And defending my property, I'm violent, and therefore I create a society in which, through money, I gain tremendous satisfaction. I've discovered a tremendous lot about myself. Are you doing this with me? I discover that I'm using property, things which I need, which are necessary, as a means of inward security, satisfaction, and therefore property becomes extraordinarily important, right? Wait, don't say no, please. It's not a question of saying yes or no. We are studying ourselves by our reactions to things. Do I use property as a status symbol? I'm beginning to understand myself in relation to things. What is my relationship to things? Relationship, you understand? To have a relationship means to be related to be in contact with, doesn't it? May I go on? Am I in contact with property, with things, or am I in contact with the satisfaction which things give me? Therefore I use things to gain satisfaction, and so things become of secondary importance, because my primary desire is to find satisfaction, to have security, right? And I discover something very odd about myself, that I want property, things, and also I see the danger of it, and I want to avoid it. I want to put it aside, and yet I want to hold it, right? So contradiction in me has already begun. I like to have a lovely house, nice garden, lots of servants, and that gives me a tremendous sense of security, position, prestige, and inward gratification. I use things for my own gratification. Therefore I protect those things which give me the satisfaction, and hence I am in a state of defence all the time. I don't see the importance of knowing myself, but hearing you explain that it is important, I then discover that it is important. Is this not an escape? You discover the importance of knowing yourself because someone has asserted that it is important. You don't see the importance for yourself. Why don't you see it? It's like a man living in blindness and saying, it's not important to have eyes. Are you being convinced by the speaker, who lays emphasis on understanding oneself, to be interested in that? Then it has no value at all. Alright sir, let's proceed. I discover myself in relationship to things because to us things are extraordinarily important. Don't let's fool ourselves. Money, houses, material things that you touch, feel, taste are extraordinarily important. And why have they become important? Please follow this. Why have they become important to me or to you? I need food, I need shelter, I need clothes. But why have they become of such colossal importance in life? What do you say, sirs? They become important to us because we are empty inside. In ourselves we are nothing, so we fill that emptiness with furniture. No, don't laugh. With books, with money, with cars, right? So they become important because they fill my state of mind, which is completely dull, empty. Are we doing that? Sir, I don't think that's a conscious reason for it. I don't know, sir. You are discovering yourself. You're not telling me. Well, to me, my conscious reason is that I see very poor people in all sorts of misery. They can't pay the doctor and so on, and I don't want to be like that. And what keeps me from being like that? It's the material things, and therefore the objects acquire a great importance. Yes, sir, we said that. It is of great importance. That's the reason why we give them importance. That's one of the reasons. That's not the major reason. One of the reasons is that I don't want to be like the poor man. Therefore I defend what I have, right? Therefore I'm in a state of violence. I have discovered that. You're not telling me. I'm not telling you. I have discovered by comparison that it is better to be well off. You're more respected. You become a respectable bourgeois and all the rest of it. We're still examining, you understand, sir? I'm studying myself. When I use things to cover my own insufficiency, to cover my own emptiness, shallowness, my own shoddiness of being, with furniture, with houses, with name, with all that, what happens? Pursue that. What happens in this process? But this problem about which you have spoken now, the attraction to objects in order to fill our emptiness, I think this is psychological and has its origin in more concrete things. If we take an animal, for instance, I don't want to take an animal. I know from my own experience that without food, I'm violent.